Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
I would like to call to order the meeting of the Neenah Common Council for Wednesday, December 15th, 2021, 10 days before Christmas already. This meeting is being held in a hybrid virtual meeting and in-person meeting due to the public health emergency caused by COVID-19. All the proper notices have been given. And we would like to welcome everyone who's here and joining us. The first item of business is the roll call. So members will punch it. Oh, no, guess we not. We have to do, because we're in a hybrid, we have to do it manually. The clerk will call the roll.
Alderperson Boyette.
Here.
Bates.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Orchard.
Here.
Lang.
Here.
Skirms.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
And Stevenson.
Here.
All members are present. There's a quorum present. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by Council President Stevenson. All right. Adam, our city attorney, Adam Westbrook, is on. I thought it was Aaron Rodgers the third, almost for a minute there. But there's only two of them right now, but I only took a quick glimpse of you, Adam, so welcome. Alderman Bates is joining us on the council, on the computer, and everyone else is in person, so welcome. So the first item of business tonight will be the introduction and confirmation of mayor's appointments. The mayor's appointment to appoint Patricia Goodman, Mary Jo Knackers, Susan Antono, and Joshua Cutney to the Committee on Aging. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion by Stevenson, seconded by Sturms. Borchert. Is there any discussion or questions? These are two new members and two reappointments. Is there any objection to unanimous consent? Seeing no objection, that's so ordered. Item number 3 is approval of the council proceedings, approval of the proceedings of December 1, 2021 regular session. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the council proceedings of December 1, 2021. Discussion, corrections, additions, or comments? Seeing none. Any objection to unanimous consent? Hearing and seeing no objection, that's also so ordered. Next item on the agenda is item number 4, which is the public forum. Public forum is an opportunity for anyone in the community to speak on any topic that they would like to the council. And all we ask is that you give your name and address so that we have it for the record, and also try to keep your comments under 5 minutes, which is a long time. Who here would like to address the council tonight? Mr. Hudak, come on up. Should be on it.
Does it pick it up okay?
You can lift
okay.
it up. There you go.
Is that better?
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ed Hudak, and I reside at 1207 Skyview Drive in Neenah, and I'm the chairman of the Republican Party of Winnebago County. I'm speaking as that person tonight. Under new business in tonight's agenda, you'll be asked to approve a list of Neenah election inspectors for the next 2 years. Following state law, I submitted to the city clerk, Charlotte Daigle, a list of 56 names who should be considered as Republican election inspectors. I work closely with Pat Melessa, who is on the Republican Election Inspector Committee. She's from Neenah and made the calls along with me. She would have been here tonight, but is recovering from a recent illness. However, she is well enough to receive calls at home if any member of the council would like to speak to her. Clerk Nagel recently indicated in an email that 9 of the 56 individuals on the list submitted cannot recall being contacted by the Republican Party, and 5 who feel they have changed their mind about serving. This may be understandable considering we started contacting people in August and finished up by the end of September. However, our office has received no calls from these identified individuals to have their names removed from our submitted list. With that said, I wish to restate that each nominee on the list I submitted has been contacted by the party and agreed to be a Republican election inspector and would expect them to be offered a position as Republican election inspectors by Neenah. This would include the 9 who said they had not been contacted and the 5 who have changed their mind about working. These 14 people, who the clerk claims should not be offered an appointment, could be removed from consideration by them not signing the oath of office within the 10 days allowed by the law. This action by the nominee would clear up any misunderstanding as to their intent. I wish to thank you for allowing me to clarify this issue. And thank you for your public service by serving on the Common Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Anyone else like to address the council on any topic?
White Kerr, 434 High Street, Neenah, Wisconsin. Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm here tonight to talk about the trail, Loop Lake Trail. I know when we were first putting it in, we had many people that were concerned about things that might happen. We were told at the time that when the trestle trail was put in, there had never been no issues. I know this, I think this is my 3rd time that I've been up here. I've sent each of you a copy of a video taken from one of my cameras. My neighbor has sent a couple of you a picture of an issue that happened with her car. I just don't want it to be dropped when somebody can say again that it was never brought up and there were never any issues. The people that live on West North Water Street regularly and routinely have issues with dogs. We regularly and routinely have issues with trash. Since the Parks Department and the city has put waste receptacles on that can be emptied with our trucks, our trash issue has gone down substantially. I would just like to say that we still have issues with dogs. We have some people that have 25-foot leashes. And as long as it doesn't come in your front door, they really don't care. That's all I got. Mayor, thank you for your service. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone.
Thanks for coming, Dwight. We all received that. I've already put a note to talk to the chief and just ask officers to roll it a little bit more. All right. Anyone else? Anybody else like to address the council on any topic? Okay. With that, I will close the public hearing. And then, for anyone from the council that would like to make any comments regarding third thing? Alderman Boyette, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question for the clerk. Is that true, what Mr. Hudak said, that if we were to accept all of the people, if they took the oath, would that, like, or they didn't take the oath, would that, like, handle the situation or not?
What's your question again? Is
Okay.
what not true? State
Okay,
it more clearly.
Okay, so Mr. Hudak had said he thought that we could accept all the people on the list that he had submitted, and that the ones that are questionable would fall off the list if they didn't show up to take the oath. And I'm just wondering if that's the easiest fix for this, or is that true, or
Right? Thank you.
I just don't know.
Clerk,
Sure,
Nagel.
sure, thank you. An oath of office is required to be taken by each poll worker who is appointed by the council. Ultimately, it is the council who appoints poll workers. So I brought forth the information to in the packet as we received from the service. that we can.
This item is on the agenda, okay? So if you have more questions, I think we could till then, but if you're free to respond.
Yep, no, I was just curious because I wasn't aware of that, and I just wanted to clarify that in his statement.
No, not at this time. Not. Okay, any other questions, first of all? Council, all right, is there any objection to allow me?
Marge is.
Come up to the microphone though, okay, Ed? You can, you're welcome.
Marge is it?
Marge, go ahead.
No, I have a question on something else. If Mr. Hudak needs
Okay.
to clarify
I
something,
think the council's
I'll wait.
okay with, letting you come up and respond. Ed, go ahead.
As I understand the law, Kathy, is what they do is they send out, you have to sign a pledge that you're being sworn in, and by returning it, then you're a poll worker. But you're not a poll worker until you return that. The law is quite explicit on that, so I understand it. So,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you, appreciate
And
it.
you're not a poll worker until you return that. And I
Got it.
think that would, reason I mention that is I think that would clear up this misunderstanding that's taken place.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Yep, appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Other comments or questions on Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. Concerning the dog issue, we do have a fine for leaving dog due behind, don't we?
Yes. Chris is saying, yes, we do.
My question would be whether or not one could, it's kind of like in the grocery store where you've got a picture of someone that don't take checks from this person anymore. We've got a picture from this camera, and I know there are some little booths at the ends of the trails when we come into the city and over the bridge and things. Maybe we could just do something as simple as a bad dog, bad owner picture underneath saying, make sure you clean up your dog doo. I feel bad for these people, and I'm sure it happens all over the city, but I'm afraid it might happen a little bit more where there's more pedestrian traffic. But thank you.
All right, thank you. I also mentioned to James that it's possible we're gonna look at it while putting a couple signs up along the trail that says, please clean up after your dog. That's another opportunity to put a couple of small signs along the trail system on telephone poles or something. So we'll look at that too, okay? Thanks for the question. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we will close that. We'll go on to item number 6, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Skirms. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Seeing and hearing none, is there any objection to unanimous consent to approve the consent agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, that's so ordered. Thank you. Item number 7, reports of standing committees. Regular Public Service and Safety Committee meeting of December 7th, 2021. Chairperson Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes can be found on the city website. First item on the report, committee recommends council approve preliminary resolution 2022-01, sanitary sewer lateral construction on South Commercial Street, Deekoff Street, and Grove Street, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Comments or discussion? Question? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. Any opposed, vote no as the clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Hillstrom, Lendrum,
Aye.
Orchard,
Aye.
Lang, Skirms,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
That motion passes.
Second item, committee recommends council approve the purchase of a 31 CY New Way Sidewinder automated collection truck, AKA garbage/recycling truck, from Envirotech Equipment, Lannon, Wisconsin, in the amount of $288,721, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Discussion on this item. Gary, do you remember? I just had it this afternoon. What did we pay for the original? Gone up,
I believe the original ones were around 250,000,
gone up.
and that would have been
13.
late 1918 or 2018.
18, right?
Oh.
13%. Alderman Stevenson and
Yeah,
Alderman.
yeah, and I think we should include the fact that this is going to be paid for through the 2022 capital improvements budget, page 333, which is a budget amount of $300,000.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Boyette.
Thank you. Jerry, can you remind me on the schedule for these trucks?
Are you talking
Replacement?
replacement schedule? We purchased them in late 2018. The 2025 year and the 5-year plan is where we had our first replacement scheduled. So we were looking at an 8 to 10 year cycle for replacement.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing or hearing no one else, all in favor will vote aye. Any opposed, vote no. The clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Bates,
Aye.
Hillstrom,
Aye.
Lendrum,
Aye.
Orchard,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Skirms,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Motion carried 9.
The motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for the report. Item number B is the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of December 6th. Chairperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of December 6th. First item, the committee recommends council approve resolution number 2021-20, providing the sale of approximately $16,230,000 general obligation promissory notes, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Questions or comments? We have Brad here. Do you have anything to say, or would you like Brad to?
Yeah, let's have Brad.
Sure. Brad, would you could just come up and give us the Reader's Digest version so folks at home know what we're doing?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So there is a brief presentation that's included in the packet that was distributed, can be found beginning on page 26. There's really two sets of financing. The resolution you're considering first is to fund the city's capital improvement program. So this is funding levy-supported projects in the various TIF districts, sewer projects, and storm. We're also refinancing debt that was issued back in 2012 for savings. So that debt is not being extended, simply exchanging higher interest rates with lower interest rates. These notes will be repaid over a 10-year period, and the estimated interest rate is below 2%. It's at 1.96 for planning purposes. The savings available from the refinancing is over $70,000. By combining the refinancing with this larger borrowing, there's a very efficient financing in terms, it really brings down the cost per dollar borrowed, making this refinancing really attractive for the city. Would you like me to address the next resolution, or do you want to wait till that's on the floor, Mayor?
Sure, as long as you're up here, why don't
Okay. The second financing that you'll be considering tonight is a taxable general obligation refunding bond. And this is being used not to fund new capital projects, but to refund or to refinance debt that was issued for TID number 8. You'll see a couple of scenarios in the packet that's included. We internally, city staff and Baird evaluated many different options. The two that rose to the top were either general obligation bonds or CDA lease revenue bonds. It's determined that general obligation bonds are going to generate greater savings than lease revenue bonds due to lower issuance cost and lower interest rate. And the savings that's available with the issuance of the GO bonds is nearly $380,000. Again, with this issuance, we're not extending the repayments. We're just saving annual payments that would be paid by TID number 8.
Okay. So combined, it would be approximately 450,000
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes.
savings?
That's
Savings.
correct. Yes,
It'll
400.
Save over time, about 450.
That's correct.
Thank you very much. I will open it up to the council. If anyone has any questions, better, or anyone else. Alderman Lundgren, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been giving Brad a hard time for several years now on his industry's wording about refunding when it's actually refinancing. But if you are a layperson and you are reading your reports, it looks like it is refunding. And so I have asked him to pass on to your powers that be to please put in a hyphen for refunding. So it sounds like what it is, which is refinancing, because anyone reading it that doesn't know, who is just, a layperson like all of us, it just sounds like refunding, and it's really refinancing. So I just wanted to make that clear for anyone reading it.
Okay. Thank you. I don't disagree. I think most people do, refinance their house. They don't fund. Probably a reason. Financial. Anyone else have questions or comments? This is a good opportunity for us to save almost $500,000 over the period of these notes. So, seeing no one else, there's a motion and a second. All in favor will vote aye. Any opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Hillstrom,
Aye.
Lendrum,
Aye.
Orchard,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Germs,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
and Bates.
Aye.
Motion carried 9.
That motion passes. Item number 2, go ahead.
The committee recommends council approve Resolution 2021-21, providing for the refunding of the Community Development Lease Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2013. And I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Skirms. Is there questions or anything on this?
I think
So folks back home giving them half. So what was the total cost of doing this? There's a cost to.
You're talking about the issuance
Yeah,
costs?
both. Forgot. No, it's
Yes.
Cost of issuance, this is a little difficult because the cost of issuance includes the premium because it's a negotiated sale. Go ahead, Brett. Yeah, let's it, Brett.
The estimated cost on the notes that are funding the new money project is just under $190,000. And the estimated costs on the taxable bonds that are refunding to date is $150,000. All of the savings estimates that we talked about are net of those
net.
fees, correct?
That's kind of what I wanted to get to. I'm sorry, I should have been more. What's the net saving? Is the 450,000
Correct.
after those? Thank you. All right. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. Any opposed, vote no. As the clerk tells you.
Alderperson Lundrum,
Aye.
Orchard,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Terms,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
and Hillstrom.
Aye.
And carried 9.
That motion passes.
Item number 3, the committee recommends council approve the cities of Appleton and Neenah Memorandum of Agreement for Weights and Measures Services, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Alderman Erickson, go ahead.
I'd like to ask Director Hayes to explain this procedure.
Director Hayes?
Sure. So very quickly, when the city of Neenah consolidated our health department with Winnebago County, Weights and Measures Services came to Department of Community Development. We're required by state statutes to provide those services. We had, in the past, since we took that over a number of years ago, we always had a part-time individual in that position. We had a fair amount of turnover in that position, not because of the work, but because of extenuating circumstances, either to move to take care of parents, whatever the case may be. We had consolidated those functions with our code enforcement position, which, as the council is well aware, has now been transferred to police department. We've reevaluated hiring part-time employees versus contracting, in this case with the city of Appleton. In addition to hiring an individual, managing an individual, we're also required to train an individual, so that takes some time to do. Appleton is well positioned with a staff that's very experienced in this work, in addition to having equipment that makes the process much more efficient for them to do than for our internal staff. So we felt it was a cost-effective approach to contract with the city of Appleton versus hiring an individual here at City Hall.
Thank you.
Appleton contract numerous.
That is correct.
All right. Alderman Erickson?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead, and
Thank
then
you.
Alderman Bates.
I did share in committee that during my tenure here, and since we've consolidated our health department with Winnebago County into Winnebago counties, this service and this operation has always been kind of one of those left behind things that we struggled with trying to figure out how we implement and how we do the work. And regardless of how we've been able to do it, to Chris's point, I just want to confirm, this truly seems to be like best way to get what it is we want done paid for. We were hiring people, sometimes part-time, and other times they went full-time to split the responsibilities. And you're never quite sure if you were paying for legitimately the weights and measures functionality or whether some of it was being spread across other people. This is, I think, one of the best options. And I challenged Chris in a committee meeting to make sure that we're staying with Alderperson Borchard's suggestion that, the market will determine how best to serve these kinds of functions. And we need to over the next 3 years, monitor private sector options as well as municipal options through the city of Appleton. And Chris, I'm sure will do that. this just seems to be a great thing. I commend him for just bringing this to this level, at this new point.
Thank you. Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. Were there any vehicles that were associated with this position? I seem to remember something where we were saying that someone could carry around a larger amount of gasoline cans in order to do their measurements, and we approved that a couple years ago.
There's no, we have a challenge or had a challenge with fuel pump equipment. So basically we were carrying gas cans in a vehicle. We would often have to work with our friends at Public Works to utilize a pickup truck so we didn't have fumes within a vehicle. Once we had a bigger tank, if you will, we actually acquired a trailer. We still have the trailer that then hauled all the necessary equipment to do the fuel pump. So as Alderman Stevenson said, there was some fairly inefficient processes being done in order to get the work completed. But
So there's nothing that we can offer Appleton to say, we've got this extra trailer. They probably don't need it, so we just have something extra in our garage of vehicles.
Yeah, we started with a 5-gallon tank. We have a 55-gallon tank that we can test multiple pumps with. City of Appleton has a truck, a fuel truck, so they can do all of them at one time.
Thank you.
Question, thank you. All right. Anyone else? Questions, comments? If not, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Borchard?
Aye.
Lang?
Aye.
Skirms?
Aye.
Erickson?
Aye.
Stevenson?
Aye.
Boyette?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
Hilstrom?
Aye.
Lendrum?
Aye.
Motion carried 9 to
Motion passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you for the report. Item number 8 is special committees, liaisons, various special projects committees. There is no report for the Plan Commission tonight.
Mayor, sorry, I just want to make a comment on that, and I apologize for my laryngitis. Just if the council members had not reviewed the minutes, I just wanted to make them aware that there were 4 site plan reviews at the Plan Commission meeting, one of which was pretty interesting. I thought the 1201 West Winneconne, that has been vacant for a long time, so I thought that was exciting.
Okay. Thank you. Took a lot of thanks for that. Maybe you want to whisper it to Brian, and Brian, you can
I offered to be her
relay it.
interpreter.
That, yeah.
No.
All right. Community Development Authority, is there any report, Director Hayes?
I have no report, Mayor.
Okay. From the Library Board report, Alderperson Erickson?
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Public Library Board of Trustees met today at 4 o'clock. There are a number of programs that are planned at the library. I passed out information. For those who are viewing at home, you can visit the Neenah Public Library website. 2 of the programs I'd like to highlight. One is Thursday, January 20th. It's the Neenah Immigration Stories, and that is presented with the Neenah Historical Society. And that is Tracing Our Past, Neenah's Immigration Stories, and that will be a really great program at 7 o'clock. And then also at the library board, they were talking about a fun program called Speed Puzzling. This is take 2. It occurred in November, and it was so popular, they're doing it again. You need to register, and the registration is opening January 1st, 2022. And the event is Friday, February 25th from 5:30 to 7 after the library closes. And what it is teams register, and they will get an unopened 1,000-piece puzzle, and they have 150 minutes to complete the puzzle. So if you are the first couple teams that win, you can get a prize, and it was a very popular event. And so if you are interested in doing this, I would encourage you to register right away on January 1st. And that concludes my report. Oh, one more thing. The Neenah Library, I had brought in, they have these craft projects that you can pick up. The month of December, it's winter wooden bead garland, and you get a bag with some wooden beads, and you can make a garland. And so it's really a cool project. So check that out if you're interested. And as always, you can visit the library website, and then remember to check out some books.
Thank you very much. The Neenah Arts Council, also Alderperson Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Arts Council did not meet during the month of December. However, we participated with the Very Neenah Christmas, and we did a arts and crafts project for families, and it was a highly successful event. We had a lot of participants.
Thank you. Thanks for the report. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Aren't the library and the Neenah Arts Council getting together for the photo contest?
That is correct. Thank you for mentioning that. In the city newsletter on Facebook, we are doing a city photo contest. All of the rules are available on the library's website, and so you can start submitting your photos now. And we have so many beautiful photographs of Neenah, and some great photographers. So just check out the rules and start submitting your photos.
Thanks, Marge. Yeah, that's going to be exciting because if you watch Facebook, if you pay attention to Facebook, there's a lot of people who just find pleasure in going around the
Right.
community and getting that perfect shot.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. Very cool.
And it doesn't have to be shots that are just taken right now. It can be shots that you have taken, throughout the year.
All right. Photos of the mayor,
No, those are not.
those are not allowed. Okay.
They're
All right.
available for target practice.
Oh, wow.
Ouch.
Big circles around it. Okay, thanks, Todd.
Free.
Can you wait till I'm out the door?
$10 a piece at City Hall, but free at the archery range.
All right. Well, that is cool though, because you're gonna get some great shots. So.
I hope so. That's
And
great.
then Joni will ask to get permission to use them on our Facebook and website because, she does that. And, uses a lot of those photos for our use too. So that's great. No petitions. Council directives. Is there any unfinished business? Todd, go ahead.
Yeah,
Alderman
I just
Stevenson.
wanted to take an opportunity here to recognize and thank the Local 275, our Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue Group, for again putting on the wonderful Santa Float program that they put on through the cities of Neenah and Menasha. So just so many comments from people. And I try not to form opinions and manage my city responsibilities through Facebook, but the amount of comments I've seen on Facebook regarding the historic relevance and past memories of the Santa Float amongst people my age was truly overwhelming this year. And so I want to thank the people of Local 275 who put that on at absolutely zero taxpayer expense, and to the people that donate to that program to help fund it. Specifically, I'd like to thank Levenhagen Oil Company for donating all the fuel for both the trailer and the lead vehicle, and everyone who contributes to the float. I had the opportunity to visit with Santa on the last night on the float, and it was amazing seeing people walk up to the car giving checks and giving money to the people because they thought it was that important. So I just, once again, I was really cool to be proud, be a part of it, and to be able to say that I'm involved with the city of Neenah and Menasha to put that program on. So thank you, people.
Thank you, Todd, and I just echo everything Todd has said. It is so cool. It's one of those things that people talk about for years and really cool. Grandma remembers it, Mom remembers it, kids remember it. Your grandkids-
Young grandchildren in Philadelphia, remember it?
Oh, yeah. But especially when Santa calls them out by name. Because how the heck did he know my name, Grandma?
Santa knows
Very
all.
good. It is very cool. So it's we're blessed to have that. So good. Thanks, Todd. Okay, any other unfinished business? Alderman Skirms?
Do we have an update on land assembling for a
parking structure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we are looking at conceptual layouts to see how the conversations that we had with property owners in the downtown, to see how those, not only on the property, but also any conflicts that may add costs, utilities, potential relocation costs, any kind of eminent domain that may be required in order to get the work done. But we hope to have a little more comprehensive package for the council right after the first of the year.
Thank you.
And I believe they're working on a meeting.
I think I think in my approach would be to develop the concepts, the pros and cons, a conversation with council, and then depending on direction from council, go from there.
All right. I think there's also a request for a meeting to follow through on.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Under new business, item number 12, I think what I'll do is I'll first go to item number B. That's okay. But item number B, for my nomination. Mayor Crawford's nominations to the City of Neenah 2022-2023 Elections Board. And you all have those in your packet. Is there a motion to confirm?
So, Mayor, can I talk before we make a motion? Or do I have to wait for a motion in a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second.
Okay.
We've done it both ways, but I know we'd prefer to have the
Yep,
motion.
I understand that.
So
I would agree.
Thank you for asking.
I would agree with that.
And Adam was giving me that look, so.
Yep.
Alderman Lindrum.
Thank you. I have a question for the city attorney. This is on the agenda tonight, and we are expected, I guess, to vote for this tonight without any committee meeting on this. Am I right?
Correct. The state law says that they have to be appointed before January 1st, and this is obviously the last meeting without scheduling a separate meeting for that.
Okay.
Historically, I don't ever believe that going to committee thing.
Correct.
I may be
It
wrong.
always goes from the mayor to the
I may be wrong.
council.
This one seems to be different. I have a lot more questions, and it's
Okay, go
a
ahead.
lot more controversial. So for people to just blanketly accept that I have a
So
problem
if
with
I
it.
could, Alderman Lendrum, just to clarify something, I don't think this is any more confrontational or different than in years past. I think the only thing that has changed this year, in 2020 when we received the names got submitted, they all were appointed, and then when we went to go schedule people is when we got the phone calls of, well, why am I even on that list? I don't want to be on that list. What's happening? So proactively, before appointing people, the only difference was this year we reached out ahead of time to avoid the situation of appointing, 100 people and then finding out that half of them don't want to be poll workers. But that has been a common occurrence that people are on the list that got there without their own knowledge. So this isn't the first year that's happened. This is just the first year that we've brought it to your attention. Because again, the options were either the clerk and the mayor make the decision to just not appoint those people who've indicated they don't want to be poll workers. But after consulting with the Elections Commission and numerous other city attorneys, we all felt that it would be better in the hands of the council. So that way, again, it doesn't look like any one office was trying to keep people from being election inspectors who don't want to be. So it really is not anything different other than it's just being brought to your attention this year, as opposed to in the past when we didn't know about it until after they had already been appointed by the Common Council.
So in years past, we didn't have an organization pushing for this we were just, it was just understood, not understood. It was just, we took, I guess, the word for from our poll workers that they are from a certain party.
No, that's incorrect. So in the last election cycle, we received lists from both the Democratic and the Republican parties. Those lists were presented to council in December of 2019. Council approved them. And then when the clerk's office went to go schedule, we started calling people to come in for trainings. And that's when we started getting I don't know how you got my name. I was never contacted. I don't want to be on this list.
Right.
So this year, what we did is when both parties submitted their lists, we called every person whose name was submitted by both parties. And there were 5 or 6 questions. And those questions were: 1, were you contacted by the party? 2, do you understand that in Neenah you have to work a full day shift? 3, do you understand that you have to be willing to work all 6 elections plus? So all of those questions. And then the last question being, do you want to be a poll worker? Are you correctly on this list? And out of those names that we called, obviously you have the numbers in front of you. My understanding is there were 17 from the Republican and 1 from the Democratic list who indicated, no, I don't want to be a poll worker. And so, again, that happened in the last election cycle, but it didn't happen until after they had already been appointed. We thought, incorrectly, obviously, we thought that this would help clear up the issue so that when we went to schedule, we would only be appointing and scheduling people who wanted to work. That was what our intention was. Clearly, that is not how our intention has been interpreted. So we decided, obviously, the best thing to do is give the council all the information. You have the list of names, and all those people that have that single asterisk indicated to John, the deputy clerk, or Shar or myself that they did not want to be election inspectors. However, if you want to appoint them, even though they indicated to us they don't, you can. And to Mr. Hudak's point, right, if we appoint them, then it just is staff resources. So we'll reach out to them, and then they'll either tell us again, I don't want to be a poll worker. I told you this once, but I'll tell you again, or they might change their mind and decide to be a poll worker. But there really is nothing unusual about this, other than the fact that, again, there's people who don't want to work, and how they got on that list is a different question. But this has happened with both parties in the past.
And when you say in the past, every year?
So, again, no. So the 2020 election cycle, again, according to Patty Stern, the 2020 election cycle was really the first time that we received substantial lists, meaning more than 1 or 2 names. I was not here. Well, I was, but I had just started when we got the 2017 list. But I know in my time, the 2020 election, we received small. You have the list again. Less than 20 names, I want to say. And again, when we started calling people, we got a lot of, no, I don't want to be a poll worker, or I don't know how you got my name. Now, that was the year of COVID too. So some of those people might have said, I don't want to be a poll worker because of COVID. So I'm not saying that all of those people who, gave us the wrong information weren't contacted. But we proactively this year, to try to avoid spending staff time and resources in the scheduling process, we proactively reached out to all of the people presented by the parties and on our list just to confirm that they indeed were contacted and wanted to be on the list. And the only names that you see that have asterisks are the ones who said, no, I don't want to be a poll worker. We had numerous people tell us, yes, I want to be an election inspector, but I can't work all 6 elections. And we interpret that to mean that they would not be qualified to work, so they would not ultimately get scheduled. However, we didn't suggest removing them from the list because they wanted to be elections inspectors, and so they wouldn't be picked first. But if someone got sick and we had to, pull someone else, they would be there. So to be very clear, the 1 Democratic appointee and then the however many 17 Republican ones were ones who strictly, very explicitly said, I do not wish to be a poll worker when asked that very specific question. once again, just to make sure I'm being very clear, Mr. Hudak is correct. The Common Council, you could appoint all of those people, and then it just means that more staff time would have to go to trying to contact those people and asking them yet again if they want to be election inspectors. But that is a very possible solution.
So can I just ask one more question? Do you have time? Okay.
Go ahead.
Why did it insist, I guess, that they work all of those elections on that letter? And why not just the next one?
So the state law says that an election inspector shall serve every election during the election period. And again, this happened last year during COVID that this question originally came up. And so I reached out to counsel from the Wisconsin Elections Commission, as well as numerous other city attorneys, to make sure that our interpretation was correct. And it is correct that as an election inspector, you, in order to be qualified, you have to be willing and able to work all 6 elections. And the reason that's part of the law is because otherwise we would have partisan election inspectors who only would want to work the partisan elections. Races where there isn't, so spring elections are nonpartisan elections and don't have nearly the turnout or the controversy as the fall elections. And so to avoid having 100 people sign up to work the presidential, but none of them want to work the spring elections, the state law said you need to work all 6 elections if you're going to be an election inspector. But again, to be very clear, none of those names that have an asterisk next to them, none of them are there because they said they didn't want to work all 6. There are people on that list, from both parties, who said, yes, I want to be an election inspector, but I don't want to work all 6 elections. That they're still on that list without any notification, because once they're appointed and when they go to schedule, at that point they'll have to decide whether or not they're willing to work the elections. But because they indicated they wanted to be an election inspector and were given to us by the parties, we, per state statute, presented them to the mayor, who then presented them to you. The only names that were suggested as being removed or non-appointed are the ones who specifically indicated that they did not want to be election inspectors.
Interesting. Thank you. Appreciate the clear explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna just interject one comment here. You specifically directed your questions to our city attorney, to Mr. Westbrook. I just want to make it clear. Our city clerk runs the elections, and she makes the decisions. She utilizes our city attorney for counsel, for legal questions. And so when Adam's saying, it's clerk's office runs the elections, she is utilizing the city attorney for legality, things like that. And Adam has kind of outlined how it went. Is that a fair statement, Adam?
Absolutely. And I would also just echo that every municipality in the state right now, the clerk's office and the city attorney's offices are working hand in hand because of all of the guidance that came out of the Elections Commission, because of all of the legal challenges that have either been threatened or have actually come forward. Given the elections, it is a very common occurrence that many city attorneys are speaking using the we term, we meaning the city of Neenah, not we meaning the city attorney, but the royal we. But the mayor's absolutely correct. City Clerk Nagel is in charge of the elections. It was Clerk Cheslock back in the 2021 cycle. So the elections reside with the clerk, but city attorneys' offices all over the state are working hand in hand right now to ensure that we don't face a legal challenge.
Right. Thank you, Adam, for that. And I just wanted to make sure that point was put out there, because I think it's very important that people understand that clerks are running the elections here in the state of Wisconsin, not the mayor's office, not the attorneys, not outside groups that have been invited into some communities to help. We're not doing that here in Neenah. The clerk's office is in charge of the elections, and that's how it's been.
And Mayor,
I've got
if
here,
I could just say,
that's how it's going to stay.
if I could just say one more thing, and I've told this to Shar numerous times, Clerk Nagel is extremely competent. She does her job very well and is very smart. She could answer all of these questions the same way and deal with residents and party complaints just as well as I could. However, I have personally firsthand seen how much dedication and hard work the clerks have to deal with in elections, that I have offered Clerk Nagel for any type of questions like this, that I am happy to step in and help answer those questions, to help kind of triage, so she can focus on making sure we have yet another successful election without having to, be questioned about her policies or practices. But she is extremely competent. So please don't anyone take the fact that I, have answered questions or am answering questions to mean that Shar is somehow not involved or not capable, because that's not the case. It's really just the buck stops the buck stops here type of thing. And Shar obviously is one of an employee under my department, and she's very valued, and so I want to make sure that she remains that way.
All right, Adam, I appreciate that comment. We are going to go to Alderman Boyette and then Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a question, and I don't know if Adam needs to answer it because he did all the talking just now, or if it goes to Shar because she is the clerk. But my question is this. You stated, Adam, that each list, Democrats and Republicans, was contacted and asked if they wanted to do this. What about the other list of unaffiliated nominations? Were those people contacted and asked as well?
Yep. So the clerk's office sent out a survey before any of this happened. The clerk's office sent out a survey to our 200 plus nonpartisan poll workers just to make sure that they still wanted to be on this list of upkeep. Once these lists got submitted, Deputy Clerk Herring went through and contacted as many people as he could from our list as well. I will tell you, he didn't make contact with all of them, but that's also less concerning because all the people on our list that are nonpartisan are there because they've worked elections in the city of Neenah and been appointed in the city of Neenah before. So those 6 questions of, you understand you have to work all day, you understand you could work at any polling place, they already have experienced that and been answered that. But yes, we ask this of both partisan lists and as many people from our nonpartisan list as Jonathan could get a hold of in the 10-day period or however long. What day is the 14th? Yeah, so the 10-day period we had before this list went out.
Well, the reason I asked the question is because I contacted an individual on that other list, and they said no, that they don't want to, and they haven't been for a while. So clearly there's some miscommunication going on all the lists. And, whether we've done this in the past or whatever, this year seems to be the controversy year. So, I wouldn't have a problem voting all of these in as long as it's, it happens when they take their oath, and that's when it is, and not, we're citing them all in now and tonight. So,
yeah,
because obviously there's people on all 3 lists that don't want to be on the list. So.
Yeah, I would ask that you reach out to Clerk Nagel because the only people who should be on the nonpartisan lists are people who returned a survey response.
This person didn't get a survey and doesn't want to be on it and can't believe they're still on it. So I don't want to go into this any further. I just wanted to know because obviously we're having issues with one list and then I find out that there's a person from a totally different list that wasn't contacted and doesn't want to be on it. So I just checking. Thanks.
Right. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little concerned because of the rules that are in place, and it sounds like the unaffiliated group is doesn't get the same chance to work the polls if there's a whole slew of people that are Republican and Democrat than the unaffiliated. And you weren't allowed to check off something like independent, which could be considered its own group, unfortunately. So that states I can't do anything about that. What Mr. Hudak said earlier was give the give everybody a shot at it and give them 10 days to sign the oath of office. I worked polls for a long time, and usually we don't sign the oath of office until we are in the training session. So it would kind of not be easy to get all, 60, 70 people into City Hall in the next 10 days, especially now because of the cutoff on January 1st. So I guess I don't have too much trouble just approving all of them, and then figuring out afterwards, maybe doing, finding out again who needs to be pulled to the top of the list, just saying, yes, I do want to work. Yes, I understand all the issues, and then figuring it out from there. And lastly, I was going to say is there's a lot of people on that unaffiliated list that are experts at being chief inspectors, which is a difficult job. I've done it several times. It's a difficult job. It's a lot of extra training. I don't want to see those people who just didn't want to specify one way or the other, or are independents, to be left in the dust. Thank you.
All right, thank you for them comments. Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I'd really like to get some clarity, Alderperson Bates, on the motion that you made and that I seconded. What is the exact motion you made? Because I'm interpreting it, because here's what I would have preferred to second, and since I have the floor. The staff has, I think, proactively reacted to a situation that they became aware of, and proactively went out and tried to clarify the situation. So they've contacted people on two lists, the Republican list and the Democratic list, and they've already done the groundwork as to whether some of these people actually want to serve or not serve. So if the motion that's on the floor is to approve everyone on this list, I would not want to second that, because that seems to be government at its purest confusory operation. So somebody on the Mr. or so-and-so, I don't want to take sides here, so I'm going to go Democratic one and say, Cynthia K. Huxtable has been submitted by the Democratic Party. We contacted her, and she said she didn't want to be on the list anymore. But if the motion on the floor is to approve everyone, she's going to get another call, or she's going to get a slip saying, come on down and sign this and bring it to City Hall. It seems very wasteful, very time-consuming, and very inefficient. If we've done our homework, I shouldn't say done homework, if we've reacted to a situation that we've been made aware of and have better information than what was submitted, I would suggest that we approve the list with the single asterisk people not included and the double asterisk person being identified as an unaffiliated member, and Mr. Borchert being identified as a Democratic representative, since he was listed on both parties. That's what I would want the second. So, Marge, I guess I need to understand what you wanted to do.
I guess reflecting what Mr. Hudak says, where he doesn't believe that some of these people are on the list correctly for being wanting to work or not wanting to work. I'm worried that we're cutting off people that just because we called them and they said one thing. I don't like the fact that you have two people that says dichotomous ideas, and cutting people off is less, less my concern. I would rather have more people allowed to come in, take the oath, sign it off, and then figure it out from there. When we're working the polls and we have some question on a signature or whatever, we bend over backwards to figure it out. I'd rather, spend a little more time, maybe even getting a written signature that I really don't want to work, and going that route. And so I will not change my vote or change my motion if I need another second. I understand.
Well, no, I've already seconded it. I mistakenly seconded it without understanding what the motion was. So I apologize for that. But if that is truly the case, I intend not to support the motion. Because I think, we're reacting to what people have communicated to us. That's what we're doing. So if you want them to come in and sign something more to react again to confirm what they've already told us, seems duplicative and wasteful and pretty good example of government at its worst. So I'm not going to support the motion.
Well, I was just going back to what Mr. Hudak said, whereas he says it's not what he understands. And when there's a confusion there, I'd rather have it be more open than less and less restrictive.
Well, not to debate, but under that scenario, they could have submitted the phone book. And then everybody's on the list. Everybody's on their list. And if they don't want to be on, then they just don't have to return the form with their signature on.
Alderman Erickson?
Thank you, Mayor. I think one scenario, I was a poll worker when I first came on the council for presidential election. I worked the polls once and enjoyed it. However, I'm a substitute teacher now, and that has taken my priority. So I received 2 of the letters, and I received a phone call. And when the phone call came, I said, no, I'm not available, I'm not interested. But I don't feel like I should be required to come down to City Hall to sign something to say that, no, I'm not interested. I did what I did it once, many, many years ago, and I think the city clerk wanted to clean up that list of past poll workers because I still was on it, even though I haven't done it for probably 7 years, to make sure that, those type of people like me, for no other reason that we may have other jobs or other commitments, are just cleaned up off of the list. And I think that was the intent there.
Alderman Bates and then Alderman Bates?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask Mr. Hudak to come back to the thing. He says that some of these are wrong. Can he tell me which ones are wrong and how did he find out about it?
I want to get into a council. Anyone have any objections? All right, Ed, come on up. You heard the question?
I think I understand it, yes. The reason I appeared here tonight is I was told that we did not contact these people. And my point is that we did contact them. There were 2 people who were contacting those people. One was Pat Melessa, who's an extremely responsible person, who also was an election inspector, but because Neenah demands that a person work 14 hours, said, Ed, I'm in my 80s, I can't work that long. I'm also an election inspector. I was last year. And it is a long day. I'm not as old as Pat. The concern I had, though, is Pat and I, by 3 or 4 people in front of me, said we did not contact them. And that's why I appeared, because they were contacted. Now, the only explanation I have is sometimes there are 2 references to election inspectors. I've heard it tonight. We have election inspectors and we have poll workers. I think they were contacted by the clerk's office and they were asked, do you want to be an election inspector? They didn't know what that was. They know what a poll worker is. So the party was questioned whether or not we did our calling. And that's why I appeared tonight, because we did call each one of those people. I don't know, and the words are used interchangeably, and I think that's where the confusion came out. Another thing where the confusion came was we started calling people in, I'm going to say, we first started in August and completed it by September. That's the only explanation I have. But you have, I feel, 2 responsible people whose, they were questioning whether or not we did make the calls. And I wanted to emphasize those calls were made. Now, whether the people didn't understand it, we don't know. I don't know. Jonathan from the clerk's office made the calls. And I thought, well, if they were all offered to be election inspectors, that would clean it out. By the way, I believe the oath is sent home and you decide to return it. If you don't want to be election inspector, you just don't return it. Now, I believe that's the way I was sworn in. So that's the reason. So.
No, the oath is distributed or given at the first training. First training, all the appointed election inspectors are brought in, all of their oaths are done, all of their payroll paperwork is done, and training is given.
Yeah, and I really don't want to question you, Shar. I really don't, because I have no question over what your office is doing. The law reads, as I understand it, they're asked to sign the oath of office. They're given 10 days. If they don't return it, they're not put on the list. Again, I'll refer you to the law itself. And again, I don't have it in front of me.
The 10-day requirement is for anyone who won an election. So if the mayor was up for election, the mayor won, he would have 10 days to come in and take the oath of office, because his term starts prior to the next.
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for answering the question. Boyette?
Thank you. I just, I can appreciate Alderman Stevenson's comments, and I understand, we don't want to continue to almost harass people, if you will, by contacting them over and over and over again. However, I do have concerns because I contacted someone on a list and they weren't contacted. So there's clearly people on these lists that weren't called. And, even with Tammy's story, Alderman Erickson's story from her experience, she was on this list for some time before she was removed. So it happens. And I'm not pointing fingers. I just think that to Marge's comments, we don't want to not have somebody have the opportunity because they were taken off a list mistakenly, or because somebody thought they made that phone call and they didn't. Because clearly that's happened on all three of these lists. So it's not a partisan issue.
I think the city attorney mentioned in his comments that some of the unaffiliated were not contacted. We weren't able to get to everybody, or some people just didn't answer the phone or whatever.
So are those people off the list then too?
No.
Nobody's off the list.
They're on the list.
Again, and
Nobody
just to
came off the
clarify,
If we don't,
Hang on.
It wasn't if they didn't answer their phone. The only people with the asterisk next to their names are people who affirmatively stated to someone in our office, I do not want to be a poll worker. After asking them all 6 questions, the only people with an asterisk next to their names are the ones who said, I do not want to work. If they didn't answer, they're still on the list. If they said, I'm not sure, they're still on the list. So the only people who have that asterisk are the ones who affirmatively told someone in our office that they did not want to work.
Okay, Alderman Boyette's friend, person that that person's on our list, correct?
on the unaffiliated, yeah.
So they're on the list.
And they want to be taken off. But that's what I'm saying, anyway. I don't want to beat this horse all night long. I'm just saying there were issues on all 3 lists, and I just would hate to take somebody off the list and.
The only ones that are
But the motion stands, correct me if I'm wrong, the motion currently stands to accept all at this time.
Yes, that's how the motion is stated. And I have one question. I understand it, and there could be some confusion, I think. They used to be referred to as poll workers. The election, as I understand it, the election board has made the decision that they have to be referred to as an election inspector.
That is correct. That's been for several years.
We weren't doing it, should have been, but they're supposed to be referred to as election inspectors.
Election inspectors.
The average person probably refers to themselves poll worker, I'm guessing, which kind of makes some more ambiguity about, and if I getting up there now too in age, but if someone calls and says, you want to be an election inspector? No, I want to be a poll worker. I don't know that, sure, but that is the way. It's supposed to be referred to as a inspector. Brian, did you have a question, or
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it and just trying to understand it. And I think with a lot of the controversy that occurred in the last election about issues that may have arisen, I hear inspector as in judging the validity of an election and automatically think that I am going to somehow catch any fraud that might exist. A poll worker is doing a civic duty to show up and conduct the elections. I think we really need to clarify that and make sure that people know, because I don't, for me right away, I was just absolutely confused with the motion. And I would agree with Alderman Stevenson in the sense that if these people were, and Char's office did contact these people, I don't want the people with the one asterisk to be called again after they affirm the fact that they were clarified that.
And that's why I kind of made the comment, because I think even though Adam and her tell me it's state law, election law, Wisconsin election boards wants them referred to as election inspectors, I think the reality is that they consider themselves poll workers.
Right.
And I saw some people kind of nodding and kind of giving me that look of, so I wanted to let her explain to you that it's supposed to be referred to as inspector. I think, Brian, you made a very good point, especially in this environment. So,
Can I just follow up with Char real quick? Was
Sure.
there confusion when you spoke to people on the phone and Jonathan?
Sure. So if there was confusion over the term election inspector, we did change over to worker. This is a questionnaire about being working.
Can I ask just one more follow-up?
Yeah,
If
go ahead.
there's somebody that doesn't want to work the polls and does not want to do their civic duty to do that, but wishes to oversee to make sure there's no misdoings or anything, what is that process, and does that go through your office as well?
Poll work.
They are
Poll
poll
watchers?
watchers.
Poll watchers.
Poll watchers.
Okay, right, and I want to make sure.
Typically, that's done through the party as well.
Okay, I just want to make, and that's where I'm, and good, thank you.
Poll watchers, yeah.
But in order to be a poll watcher, both correct?
No, typically the parties organize the poll
Okay.
watchers, and
You're right.
if they come to a polling location to watch the polls, there's a process that they go through in order to do that. But
Okay.
it's typically done through the.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Marge, you have a question? Go ahead. Or
Right.
comment?
After listening to Mr. Hudak, I understand now that his concern was that someone had said that they were not contacted. I had understood when he first talked that he was concerned with the fact that he thought they were contacted and wanted to work. It sounded like it's a straight contacted from the party, not necessarily explaining all the things you might have to do, work all 6 elections and work 14 hours a day. And that when Char's office called them individually, she got the more clarified answer from these people. So I feel much better about that. So I probably won't be supporting my own motion.
Okay, that's fine. Anyone else have any questions, comments on this? Otherwise,
Dean,
Todd, remind me, are we, Adam, are we allowed to is the person allowed to withdraw a motion if the second agrees, or? do we
Yeah,
have
or
to-
they can amend their motion.
Pardon me?
Yes, they could withdraw their motion after a second's been made as long as the second agrees, or they could amend their own motion, again, with a friendly second.
Marge, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Right. I guess I would amend the motion that seeing that these people were contacted by our office and said they did not want to work, the ones with the singular asterisk, they do not wish to be appointed for this election cycle. I would take them off the list. I would do the whatever the double asterisk and the triple asterisk when they wanted to move parties, allow them to do that. And so it would be taking off all the stars and then moving the one with the double star and the triple star. So that would be my motion.
I'll second that.
There's been an amendment.
So
and,
we have amended.
Amendment by the motion, to the motion along with the second. So we're on the amendment. Alderman Boyette.
I have a question for Shar. So what is the process after this evening's vote? Then does your office reach out to the approved people and like, do you call them? Do you mail them a letter? Do you say, you know, what is the procedure next?
So we have a letter ready to go for anybody who is appointed tonight, so that'll be mailed tomorrow. And all it does is it explains more about actually it recaps the survey is really what it does, and explains that they will take the oath at the first training, that they will be filling out payroll paperwork at that time, and kind of getting ready for.
And then it'll probably tell them also like when to report for their first training or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay. And then when those individuals receive those letters, are they required to contact your office to confirm they received it and they'll be there? Or it's just when they show up, then you know they want to be there?
It would be showing up for training.
Okay. Thank you.
So as long as the door got opened here, explain to the council, they don't really want to get into this, but I guess I'm going to. There's 6 polling locations in the city of Neenah and central count. So that's 7 polling places and 7 spots per polling place, correct?
Correct.
That's 49 people. Explain the breakdown, then what state law says we have to give. The Democrats won the last election, so they get so many slots, and the other party gets so many slots. Can you tell me that real quick again?
Sure. So you are correct. There are 7 polling locations. So it's 6 polling locations. The 7th one is central count. Each polling location or each tabulator has has 7 spots assigned that tabulator for that polling location. Out of them, whichever party won that polling location in the last general election gets to have the extra poll worker or election inspector. The Democrats won all locations in the last general elections. They get 4 election inspectors per polling location, and the Republicans get 3 per polling.
What about the unaffiliated?
So how does the unaffiliated fit in? So there are more Republican election inspectors on the list than there are positions available. So not everybody on the Republican list is going to work every election because there's more on the list than positions available. So we'll take the 21 Republicans, and I believe there's 17 Democrats. So the Democrats get 28 poll workers. 17 of the 28 will be Democrats. Remainder of the 28 Democratic poll workers will be filled with the unaffiliated.
Well, the reason I bring that up is that I want you to understand it, number one. Number two, I think it's crazy. So,
I second that.
we have people who have been election, what do they call it? Chief inspectors for years. In theory, if the Democrats would send in 50 and the Republicans would send theirs in, no one unaffiliated would get to work. Now, these are partisan elections, some of them. Some of them are partisan elections during the year, but many of them are just local elections. So, so that's my editorial comment. And I've said that to my senator, and you have some people who have, so in theory, you could have chief inspectors not be able to work who've worked for 15 years and know how to do it, and know how that works. And you could have, in theory, 49 people who are brand new, have never worked an election, in theory. So I just,
Mayor?
It's just kind of weird, but I just bring that up. So we have a plan. The Republicans, at the number of slots that are allocated due to how the state Wisconsin Election Board works, are just outlined. So that's going to be first. Now, if the Republicans or the Democrats, if they elect not to work and have as many slots, we'll fill them with more unaffiliated.
That is correct.
Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Mayor, if I could just
Sure,
make
I'm
a
sorry.
point quick, particularly with Mr. Hudak still in the room, and so that the council still understands what Clerk Nagel just said is very important. There are currently 21 slots for Republican election inspectors. The list, even if you remove those 17 names, right, still has 30 plus names on the Republican list. So that means, remember, one of the requirements is that you work all 6 elections, which means there is a good possibility that there will be numerous people that are on that list of Republicans who will not work a single election in the city of Neenah. Because once those 21 people are selected, the only way a different Republican would get moved up is if, the first election they all work, and then in April someone calls and says, hey, I can't work this election, I'm sick. Then we pull from the Republican list to fill that Republican spot. But if all 21 people who say they're going to work all 6 elections work all 6 elections, then the remaining people on that Republican list will not work any election.
Okay.
So just in the future, if you hear someone say, well, I was on the list and I didn't work, it's because we only have that many spots, and we don't go around and pick and choose and change every election, again, for efficiency reasons.
Okay, well, thank you. But in theory, if the Democrats would have sent more names in, they could have filled up the,
100%, yeah.
the partisan people could have filled up the entire list of workers, correct?
Correct. And what Adam just explained is also included in that letter so that they know upfront that they might not be called to work every election.
Well, and I appreciate that, because sometimes in the past, I have gotten people who said, yeah, I said I would work and I didn't get called. So that's good to know that we can have an answer for them if they tell us that. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, is that a random, like, put them into a hat and pull them out, as far as how those numbers are selected from that pool of, there's 21 slots, then there's 40, how are those 21 selected?
It's up to the discretion of the scheduler, whatever doing scheduling. I believe Jackie Cunard, has done all these election scheduling. She is also an election inspector, and she is also on the Republican.
So, and I just want to say this lastly. Most of the people that we have working the elections are great people, and they work their tails off. Ed's right. It's a long day. Long day. And some of these folks, they're doggone tired by the end of the day. I will also be very careful and say this. On both parties, I've observed a lot of elections in my lifetime. There are some people, sorry to say, shouldn't be working. They have, for whatever reason, maybe they're not as able to work that election, capable. Their intentions are good, they want to do the right things, but under the present system, this is what we have to work. So, but they're all great people, I'm here to tell you. They work their tail off. It is a long day, and I've observed many of them. So it is what it is. I know, Mr. Hudak and that we've had a lot of discussions. We're going to do our best to make sure, but I wanted it outlined on how this works so that everyone knows as far as this next election. And I'll also say this, in the past, maybe we didn't follow the hard and fast rules of previous clerks. all I'm saying. I mean, certain people were called, certain people were not called. Certain people worked 2 elections, didn't get called the next time. I think Shar is kind of trying to step up and make it more consistent and make it, professional. So that's where we're at. Okay? With that, there is a motion, there's an amendment to the motion. So on the motion, all in favor of the amendment will vote aye. Any opposed, vote no.
Alderperson Lang.
Aye.
Germs.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Hillstrom.
Aye.
Lendrum.
Abstain?
And Borchard.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0, 1 abstention.
That motion passes, or that amendment passes, I apologize. That amendment passage. Now, the question becomes, the motion becomes that question. Any further comments, questions? Everyone clear on what we're doing here?
Can you restate it, please?
Sure. Marge, are you prepared to restate your motion? I mean, I can, or Shar?
So the motion,
Shar will.
Please,
Go
Shar.
ahead.
the motion was to approve the list with the removal of the single asterisk names on the list, and to approve the double asterisk and the triple asterisk for the election inspectors.
Can I ask one question? What would happen if one of the people who are asterisk all this week or next week? But on the list, right?
They are not.
I just don't get a vote. Okay. So that is now the motion. All in favor of the motion will vote aye. Any opposed?
Alderperson Skirms.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Hillstrom.
Aye.
Lendrum.
Abstain?
Borchard.
Aye.
And Lang.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0 with 1 abstention.
All right, that motion passed. Thank you. Then we go to, excuse me, we have one last item of business here, approve resolution number 2021-2022, adjusting the 2021 levy pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. Mike, Director Easter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just a little housekeeping that was inadvertently not included during the budget hearing. Typically, by state law, anytime the city desires to exceed the state-imposed levy limit, any of those options that are available have to be passed by resolution. And as you are aware, the city provided two opportunities to exceed the levy limit. The first was exempting a specific amount from the joint fire rescue levy, and secondly, any decision to use previously unused levy limit that is carried forward to a future year also then needs to be passed by resolution if you're going to then use that. For years and years, we had, for efficiency purposes, had all that language combined onto one resolution. And for whatever reason last year, and I don't recall why, we split it into 2 resolutions. And so as we got to 2021, we simply inadvertently missed the language on the second one. So discovered this as we're submitting the proper documents to the state of Wisconsin or the levy limit, to adhere to the levy limit law. And so therefore contacted Adam, and we are asking you to pass this resolution now as opposed to a couple weeks ago.
Right, Alderman Stevenson?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-20.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions? The explanation, Mike? All in favor will vote aye. Any opposed will vote.
Alderperson Erickson.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Hillstrom.
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Orchard,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Skirms.
Aye.
Motion carried 9-0.
That motion passes. That takes care of our business, other than any announcements or questions that may legally come before the council. Is there anyone have any announcements besides me? Alderman Skirms?
Luminary night tomorrow night downtown.
I'm sorry.
Luminary night downtown.
Thank you. Thank you. Alderman Lang, you have any? Was that? Okay, Luminary Night downtown. Anything else? Out of town, but I heard Mannequin Night downtown. Very Merry Christmas was awesome night, and you guys did a great job on the countdown, so lighting the tree and everything. So lots of good comments on that. Lastly, I would just say that we are looking at the committees would be scheduled to meet between Christmas and New Year's. We are asking department heads if they have any business to conduct. If there is no urgency to the business, we may not schedule meetings that week. And if we don't, it's possible that we may not meet on January 5th. Wouldn't be necessary probably to meet. There are some items that I have to talk and meet with Director Keating in the morning, and then I'll have a discussion with Alderman Stevenson, whether or not we have to bring the group together January 5th. That's not unusual, just so you know. So we'll see how it goes. But if there is no business, or if there's business, there's one or two items, and if it can wait, we may elect to do that. Okay? So I just tell you. So, and lastly, I just want to, from myself and the council and to our folks who are watching this on Thursdays or Sundays through the Oshkosh Peg channel now we have on. And how many of you have seen it on the Oshkosh channel? Anybody yet? It airs Thursday night and Sunday night at 6 p.m. So we are doing it through Oshkosh now because Green Bay can't do it. So, so that's, I appreciate the fact that they were willing to help us out. So lastly, Gary, I did have a question for someone today. The drop-off center at City Garage closes at the end of the year, is that correct?
That's correct.
So, the end of the year, so folks that are watching, got till the end of the year to
Well,
utilize.
just for 2 months.
For what?
It's not forever.
Yeah, closes for the winter, right?
Yeah, right, correct. That's what I
Closes for the winter, thank you. Closes for the winter, opens back up sometimes, I think in March or whatever, so. But lastly, to those residents, our residents, I just want to wish each and every one a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Here in Neenah, we have so much to be thankful for. If you look around the community, you see a lot of good things happening. And it's a magical time of the year, at least in, the Crawford household. I just love Christmas. And, our community, I drive around, I drive through the downtown now and at night, and you get to see that hallmark moment so many times now at the new skating rink. And it's very, very exciting. And the comments that I'm getting from people, not just about that, but about the entire city is so, it's really exciting and really gratifying to hear. But we all have a lot to be thankful for in our lives. We've had some health issues on the council. We have friends, we have family that have had health things recently, and we've lost some loved ones here in the community that are all special to each and every one of us. So I just ask that everyone, take a moment and be thankful for what you got. Make sure you spend some time this holiday season with friends and family and enjoy the season, because it truly is a wonderful life, and we get to enjoy it here in Neenah, Wisconsin. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin, Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.